Freddie, I'm passing this off to you.
Why?
Spot on, spot off. Bubba Wallace said he is mind-boggled how we finished behind cars caught up in a wreck. Kelly Crandall tweeted and asked for clarification on the 4, 6, and 9 keeping positions. NASCAR scored the field by the previous loop and felt those drivers maintained reasonable speed at the caution. Did not feel they were in the wreck. The 21 and the 23, according to NASCAR, gained positions by not slowing. Spot on, spot off.
I mean, spot on. They're right. We should have just piled into the wreck or slowed down and waited for the wreck to come down the hill and hit us. Like, I apologize for missing that wreck.
And that is why I gave it to you
I don't know
first.
what I was thinking about. This I don't understand. I would listen. You know, I'm serious about something when I'm 1, awake at 7:30 in the morning, and 2, I'm on the phone with Bob Pockris at 7:30 in the morning. But today, and I needed some kind of clarification because I don't understand. I don't understand how you can be involved in a crash.
What's involved in a crash? What does that entail? What does that mean?
You're in the wreck.
If you make contact with a
you
wall
make contact or hit somebody in the wreck.
Okay, so if you're slowing down and the guy runs the back of you, you don't spend everything that
you're in the wreck.
I disagree with that. Just because you slow down for a wreck so you get running to the back of Bubba lifts for that wreck, gets running to the back of. Let me
ask you a very simple question.
They're gonna start arguing. This is fun.
Well, I'm just saying.
Let me ask you a very simple question.
Getting bumped doesn't put you in a wreck.
Let me ask you a very simple question. Were you on the DVP clock?
No.
Yes, you were.
We never pitted.
Yes, you were. You don't have to pit to be on the DVP
I don't
clock.
matter if you pitted.
You were on the clock. That means you're in the wreck.
So
very
if you're on the
simple.
DVP clock, you lose all your spots.
No,
because the guy runs the back of you.
You don't lose all your spots. You go where you blend. You're in the wreck. You should go where you blend, not back to a scoring loop and where you maintain.
So again,
what's reasonable speed?
Give
me
the
definition of reasonable speed.
You brake and then throttle up and get spots for that. That's what you're saying. That's okay.
Yes. If you miss the wreck, listen. I have no issue. I have no issue if you slow down behind a wreck.
Okay.
Don't touch anybody. You should get your spot back. Go back to you're running whatever they want to. For one thing, it should not be a judgment call of whatever reasonable. Who decides what reasonable speed? What is reasonable speed? What is that? Is it pace car speed? Is it 100 mile an hour? Is it 120?
What do you think reasonable speed is?
Whatever speed the 9 was going.
So
I didn't look at the 9 speed. So
if you check up behind a wreck and miss it, turn down the hill, whatever, don't have contact, you're not in the wreck, in my opinion. You should go back for. I still don't know why we're using scoring loops from probably turn 1, but God knows. What I don't understand how, listen, if you could argue about,
I did lose sight of the 9. I thought the 9 was destroyed.
There was 4 cars in this deal that got their spots back. If you wanted to argue the 6 and the 12, you could convince me somehow that they may have deserved to get their spots back, even though they were in the wreck. The 9 and the 4 were in the middle of the wreck. The 4, was it you that he hit? Did you see the in car?
I think
he hit somebody.
Yeah.
That's
what I'm saying. We lifted and got hit.
Destroyed.
Their cars are wrecked.
I lost sight of the 9, the smoke and all that. I thought they were destroyed.
I mean, all they had to do was walk over to the Fox booth because Fox had a big graphic on the TV involved in the wreck. And
I saw that.
8 cars, and the 4 guys that they put back in the front were all on that graphic. They're all on the DVP clock. So they're in the fucking wreck, and somehow... All right, you guys, you know what? You didn't spin out, I guess, is what we're going with here. So you get your spots back. And then to come out and say that the 21 and the 23 were wrong because we didn't slow down enough to stay in the wreck? You're supposed to get the out of there so you're not in the wreck. We dove on the apron and drove away so guys don't slide down the hill into us. It's the most asinine thing I've heard. Listen, you want to argue about reasonable speed and whatnot, but to say that we did something wrong by throttling up to get away from the wreck is the dumbest shit I've heard all week. So I don't get it.
I mean, everybody does that.
Yeah, everybody.
But if you're doing that and there's other guys there, we're whatever car, say it's us, we're right behind the wreck. We lift, we see the wreck, we lift, we get hit by, say, car number 4. He hits us. And that's all that really happens to us. We're trying to we couldn't get slowed down enough to turn low at that point because we would have. So you're saying that, and we went to 90 mile an hour. That was right around our minimum speed was 90. And
if you're running 90, the 9 had to be running 40.
Yeah, I told you I lost sight of the 9. I thought he was wrecked. I didn't know he came out of it. When he came back out there, I was like, yeah, they're probably going to put the 9. I told Bradley from the beginning, the 9's probably going to be in front of us because he's still rolling right here. I don't think, and we have sped up to miss cars plenty of times, but I don't think you should be rewarded for speeding up to miss cars for other cars that are still running a slower pace at that point that aren't, spinning out or wrecking.
I 100% agree with you if you're not in the wreck. If there's a wreck going on and you check up and I have to have an opening on the bottom and I throttle up and pass you while you're checking up and you stay out of the wreck, you should 100% go back in front of me. But if you're in the wreck, you should not be handed your spots back, in my opinion. I don't know where you guys sit on this. Obviously, me and TJ are going to be on opposite sides because we had totally different.
TJ came out on top, so he's going to be on TJ's side. Justin Haley and Bubba Wallace got screwed.
And Harrison Burton.
And Harrison Burton, yes.
At the end of the day, like sometimes wrecks are like when the garage door is closed and you're trying to get out, like you just got to throttle up and hope you can clear that garage door closing, right? And I don't think Bubba did nothing wrong or whoever else got
he
docked
timed
for
it perfect.
speeding up.
He timed it perfect.
Yeah, that's not right. And neither is like watching the replay this or last night before I went to bed of the 9 car. Like could have probably put that thing in first gear and been fine. And how slow he was going, and then he gets all the spots back and runs third. Like that's not right either. So I don't know the answer or the fix to it, but those are two things that aren't right, and the people that are paid to make those decisions need to kind of figure it out.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
if you're still running 100 mile an hour and your car finishes a race and you don't have to pit to fix anything, are you really? Did you?
You were in the wreck.
What's in the wreck? Because you touched something?
Because you told me before the show started if you had to run 10 more laps, you were going to be in trouble because your left rear fender looked like a parachute.
Because we got run into the back of.
That's because
So
you were in the wreck.
So now you're telling me that I have to drive through wrecks and hope I don't get run in the back.
Everybody raise your hand if you think TJ was in the wreck.
it's going to be 100%.
So what if you hit the wall trying to avoid a car that goes?
You're in the wreck.
You're in the wreck.
Yep.
If you hit something,
It's not always
mean,
your
It's
fault.
not. It's not your. I'm not saying.
I don't
it's
think
like
you're
your
in the
fault
wreck
for being
if
in the wreck.
If you
but
brush the wall and there's a car right
But
here,
you're
I
in
don't
the
think
wreck,
you're
so
in
you
wreck.
should not be ahead of cars
if-
that were not.
If
right.
you get damage, you're in the wreck. That's the simplest
Well, you
way to
probably
put it. I
damaged your
think.
side skirt, so you're probably in the wreck when you
No,
slam down
no.
there. I mean, you had damages from that.
if you slow down too much to miss the wreck, you also should not get to keep all those positions because you didn't maintain a reasonable race speed. They missed this call completely.
I just think there's a big gray area there. I've been on the bad side of it at Bristol numerous times. We're on the other side of it. Lifted for a wreck, they put them guys in front of us. But if you're still, I mean, it's whatever.
I don't know what the answer is, but there needs to be
obviously
a better
throttle up and
way
pass cars.
of.
What did
of
Bob say?
determining? Bob, we just talked about that. I want a clarification on a rule because I thought there was a rule that said if you're involved in the wreck, you go where you blend, and there's not. They've changed that now to they go back to what they did, what they said. They go back to the scoring loop, and any cars that maintained a reasonable speed get their spots back. Which
if you
I
spin
think
out,
is
that's
ridiculous.
if you actually you spin out and start rolling.
Yeah.
That's where they blend you is when you get back.
Yeah,
up to
I
normal
know,
pace
but I'm just
speed,
saying. I
so.
think that should be the rule. I think if you're going to do this properly, they can't use SMT data, which we say on here all the time. Like they should be able to because we looked at SMT the other day, and Bubba beat Truex to the line in qualifying, and he beat us by 100th of a second on the timing. So obviously that stuff is not accurate enough to solely base lineups off of. But I mean, at some point we have 10,000 cameras on this deal. Like you can pick out the guys that are in the wreck. I mean, you guys obviously you can have guys clip guys and whatnot, but there was 2 or 3 guys that were the heart of the accident, but behind Truex and Logano, and they're wrecked. Their cars are wrecked.
Listen, man, our poor fans, you can't imagine what it's like to watch some of this on TV because TV is showing the time of caution. And then NASCAR is going back and placing you in running order based on that previous scoring loop. So as a fan, you couldn't be more confused. You're watching a guy lose the lead. On TV, the caution comes out, and then they're giving him the lead back, and then TV's showing you the graphic on caution came out here, and so-and-so's the leader. But that's not how it works, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go back 400 feet or whatever it is and base it on that. So it is a problem. We've talked about it on here. I tweeted about it yesterday. They have got to clean this up, or TV has got to stop showing the time of caution with who's running where.
I think you're playing with a slippery slope right there. Wow, did I say that right?
Yeah.
You're good.
Bird with no feathers.
Dart. That you're still, if you don't go back to something, you're almost promoting throttling up in missing stuff. If you don't go back to something like we lift, we don't hit anything, but we didn't maintain 130 mile an hour through a wreck that's in front of us, then
Do you think that time of caution the leader of the race at the time of caution should always be the leader?
I don't know, man. I mean,
What do you mean you don't know? Yeah, the answer is yes.
but the thing about it is, if that, yeah, I mean, sure. But then what are you doing with the rest of the cars?
Them. They're not the leader.
So they're under a different.
Yes, they're under a different deal. Jeb Burton won Talladega because they went back to a previous scoring
I'm okay
loop.
with that. I'm okay with racing for the lead like that when the caution comes out because I've lost a race like that at Talladega.
That's what Brandon. That's how Brandon won too, right?
Yes.
Brandon Brown.
Yes.
Like that was the deal with him. I think he was racing
Yeah,
Brandon
yeah.
Jones.
Whenever I was spotting for Dale Jr., we had that one restart and Joey got pushed by either Jeff or Brad. I can't remember which one it was, and we didn't get a good push from whatever the other one was, and the caution come out into one at Talladega, and that was it. We lost the race because of that.
Joey Logano wrecked Elliott Sadler at Talladega. Coming to the checker, Elliott gathered it up. He continued on. The caution came out. Brendan Poole was behind him. Brendan Poole beat Elliott to the line. Elliott was rewarded to be the race leader because of time of caution. So if you're going to do it at the end of the race, it should be done every single time the caution flies for the lead. You should not ever penalize a guy for taking the lead.
Yeah, I think if I'm fine with the leader being like that, but it's you can't. The rest, I'm trying to do it as a whole.
Yeah,
but
I just think the simplest way to do it, and it doesn't. We rely way too much on computers versus our eyes, and I think the easiest way to do it is you go back to that loop. If that's the best way to do it, best way to start the lineup, go back to that loop. But then use your eyes to see this guy's in the wreck, this guy's in the wreck, this guy, and then you don't got to put them to the back. They don't go to last. They go wherever they came out of the wreck. Chase didn't need to go to 20th. He should have been about 10th or 12th or something like that. But like that. That's the easiest way, I think. Just use your eyes. Here's the lineup.
You're saying judgment call the whole time.
Well, just like if
it's not judgment. It's actually common sense.
It's like you just look at it. Like it's black and white in front of you. This is a wreck. This is a wreck. If you have damage, the easiest way is to look at your DVP clock. If they're on your clock, they've been in the wreck. Like that's the easiest thing to do. But like I don't get it. Like
What is DVP?
Damage vehicle policy.
Yeah. So if I'm wrecking and you go by me on the bottom and I hit you that hard, you're on the DVP clock.
Yeah, if you
How
have,
do they?
But and you're in the wreck.
know that just by
just by eyes.
Yeah,
By
they
eyes.
And you have to reach like a
But
certain
if you touch,
speed.
I'm telling you, if you have that little bit of contact, you're on the clock.
Yeah, and we had that problem at Charlotte. We were near a wreck. I don't know that we ever touched anybody, but then we didn't. I don't know that we didn't realize it or whatnot, but we were just riding around the back trying to save tire.
That was bad. Yeah.
And they're like, "You're done." I'm like, "What do you mean I'm done?" They're like, "Oh, you were on the clock. You didn't make minimum speed." I'm like, "Fuck, what are we on the clock for?"
And spotters, as a spotter, you don't get alerted you're on the clock. I don't know if the team get alerted.
does, yeah.
Yeah,
but as
they
a
tell 'em.
spotter, like we don't get an alert. The official doesn't come down there and go, "Hey, just a heads up, you're on the DVP clock." So you don't know how to manage that time between you're on pit road and minimum speed and all that. It's
just.
But can't you just, if you're in the wreck, assume you're on the DVP clock?
yeah, I mean, there's times where
there's
know,
times
but
you
then
know, but there's times you don't know.
there's times like when you think you missed something and they see because they're doing it by eye. There's no like sensor on the car that says you hit anything. So they just if you're close to somebody, and I tell we get through a wreck all the time, and me, TJ, Bubba all do it. Jesse, I'm sure has been asked like, "Hey, did you get it? Did you hit anybody? Did you hit anything? Did you slide the tires? Whatever." They're going to answer you, "No, I didn't touch him. I don't think I touched him. Maybe I did." So like, if Bubba tells me I didn't touch him, then I'm like, "All right, good. We're good. We're not on the clock or nothing like that." And then come to find out, we're black flag 5 laps later because we didn't make minimum speed. And you're like, "What the hell happened?" But yeah, I don't know. I'm sure I'm going to get in trouble for that. But
There's in the Xfinity race, this happened as well. That big wreck in 3 and 4. We go into it. We don't hit anything. We run the wall. We slow way down in 3 and 4. We don't hit anything. Come out of it, and 12 cars pass us on the bottom that throttled up. Joe Graff went from like 20 something to like 10th and thought he was going to be there. Like, but you're promoting. You can't. We got to just make sure we don't promote. I'm fine with a car coming down the track and you getting by it, but people have to understand that's not. You're missing that car. You're just saving yourself. You don't get.
No, yeah, I
Free
think,
spots.
I don't think that like I said, like obviously we were able to dive out of there before you could. If you were able to get checked up,
I think
and you
we
had
were
going
to get out of there, but the 4 running to the back.
But
of
like
it,
if you were able to stay in there but not hit anything, and we dive by you on the apron, 100% you get your spot back. But like
100%.
I just think cars in the
Well,
wreck-
I don't blame him for. We all know at Darlington where those cars are going to end up when they start spinning.
Yeah, I mean, talk about that wreck on Saturday. Like another time where Chandler, I was spotting for Chandler. We were right behind the wreck, and the C's, we know, like you talk about knowing what's going to happen. They're wrecking up top. You know they're going to come down the hill.
Yeah.
So we're up against the wall. I'm like, just dig hard up top, and we're trying to get through it before somebody comes back across. And I see the nose coming through the wreck, and I'm like, man, we're going to make it again. And somebody hooks the 19 and pounds us in the fence, and we're done. But like checking up there, I would have been done. I would have wrecked anyway. So like the only
Why were
option
you
is to
done?
throttle
Because of the foam?
No, the car was wrecked.
Car was wrecked?
Yeah,
Okay.
the car was wrecked. I mean, I don't know what the rule is about.
That was
having
all
to
your
put the
door
foam
foam,
back
wasn't
in.
it?
Oh yeah. But yeah, the car was wrecked.